ladies, and welcome to the Beauty Shaman. So today, back by popular demand, because so many of you watched and commented on our first video where we did fall style, I now bring back Andrea Flommer, expert stylist from the website and Fabled blog, which is a phenomenal blog. I totally encourage you to check it out. It's shopping for the real you. And today we are going to talk about spring 2022 style. All right. Thank you so much, Andrea, for being back here.
Thank you for inviting me. So this is going to be fun. The fact is, we've been shut down in so many ways for a couple of years now. And if you look at what the fashion has been, it's sort of like an extension of leisure wear. Yes. So everything's sort of loose and a little sloppy looking and drapey, oversized. Those trends are still continuing to some extent. So you're going to see the very relaxed slacks, which is kind of nice. But even jeans are going, instead of the tight leg, straight jeans, they're a little bit looser, a little bit more relaxed, which is kind of nice for those of us that are who have put on a few pounds.
Yeah, me
getting
included.
A little older, right?
Totally.
So that's a benefit. But what I'm going to talk about is the major shift that I see happening, which is I think people just sort of gave up on appearing, showing up, and sort of hunkered down and, got kind of tight. And now there's this blossoming and opening up, and it's moving in a very feminine direction. The suiting, we're still seeing suits, and we're still seeing the sort of casual suits with the slightly oversized jackets, but they're now showing these gorgeous blouses. And I think they're sort of maybe it's temporary. I think everybody needs to have a beautiful white blouse, the Carolina Herrera perfect classic white blouse that she used to roll up at the sleeves and, lift the collar up and wear her gold jewelry. It was so gorgeous. But now they have all these wonderful little delicate features on them. A lot of pin tucking, a lot of, you'll see some lace, you'll see some macrame, you'll see just really beautiful little textile and structural changes. You're also going to see the full sleeve still, that's still happening. But you'll see the ruffled collars, the little tiny pin tucks around the collarbone. And it's kind of a romantic throwback. It's almost an antique-y look, the kind of thing that you might find in a vintage shop. Now, who can wear those? Well, they imply motion. A big suit jacket and the more conservative or classic style implies repose. But when you have things that move, when you have little florals or little pleats or little ruffles, that implies motion. And that's sort of like a more feminine look. If you don't feel that you embody that style so much, just don't go for as, too much of it. But you could wear a pair of slouchy pants or jeans with one of these really pretty feminine white blouses. And you would just look very fresh. Yeah.
And one of the things I was going to make, and I'm glad you're making this point, because when I first saw the visuals that we're using for this video, I thought the peasant blouse for me, it's sometimes too big and blousy, right, and the lots of ruffles. I'm not a ruffle person. And I was like, oh, great. Now I got to look at ruffles. But actually that's not the case. There's different designs that you can choose from. And like one of the shots that you sent was more of like just a very feminine soft shirt, but it wasn't necessarily so strictly tailored or extra fluffy. So it was kind of in the middle.
That's right. You have to choose the level that you're willing to go to in these, because otherwise you can look like Little House on the Prairie or like you're trying too hard. It's always a matter of staying within your own style, within the authenticity of who you are. But bringing in a little bit of the element makes you move fashion forward and feel like you're part of life. So I think that's the benefit of these. And if you don't want to go for the ruffles, then maybe a softer textile with, some of them have these sort of, I call them the angelic sleeves, yes, that maybe don't go all the way to the wrist, but a little bit above it, and a little tie around the waist. It's just a little piece to bring in a little softness after all the hardness that we've been experiencing.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I love the look. Now, here's a question though, because when I wear, and I think many women can relate to this, the whole white versus cream sort of a look. And personally, if I wear cream, it's like, ooh, just sort of takes me down a notch. If I wear like a really blue white, it like pops me right out. So maybe you could talk for a second about the difference.
This is my favorite subject. And in fact,
good.
I'm working on an online course right now about color and color analysis. And I'll just give you the blanket. Okay. The blanket is that if your undertone, if your undertones are cool, you go with as white as possible. If your undertones are warm, you're going to go for the ivories. And how do you determine that? Well, if there's a lot of contrast between the natural color of your hair and your skin tone, then that's what we call striking contrast or subtle blended. It's a cooler look. And anybody that's who has that sort of cooler undertone, and I have to add here, most people are combinations. They're not just one entire thing. Just like our style, we're not just one entire style, but we tend to lean toward one. And if your coloring leans toward cool, you go for the white. If your coloring leans toward warm, you go for the ivory. I cannot wear white to save my life.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find, here's a,
yes.
I don't know if you can tell, but this
yeah.
just isn't
me. It takes over. Yeah.
Right. So an ivory works for me. So that's the thing. That's the basis of the whole color palette. It either leans, your whole color palette is determined by four things: how cool you can go, how warm you can go, how light, and how dark. And all those make up all the colors that for your ideal palette. So anyway, I'll talk more about that in the future because I'm working on this online course and it's so much fun. But yeah, so perfect white blouse.
Go ahead.
Yeah, perfect white blouse could be ecru, it could be ivory, it could be refrigerator white, it could be eggshell. It depends on your coloring.
You know, and I love that. And I love that you said that we're all a mixture. And I find this very much, because I'm a makeup artist, I find this very much as a makeup artist, as people say, I have a warm undertone. And I'm like, yeah, but on your face, you don't. And so it messes everything up. And a lot of times people will do their hair color and it doesn't work, but they think, but it should work because of my undertones. I'm like, no, it doesn't work because your hair, like I'll explain sort of the color ideas behind your hair and your skin and your outfit and how it can just not work when technically it should work. And I think these are really minutia that is often really missed by the labeling behind, you know, summer, winter, fall, when that whole idea was out. And I'm sure this kind of makes you cringe or drool, but it's like drool in a negative way, like, oh God, you know, when people bring that up to me, I'm like, okay, that was like 25 years ago, 30 years ago. It doesn't work for the average person. You really have to look more at minutia. Would you agree with that?
You absolutely do. Because most people tend to straddle two primary seasonal color harmonies. We call them harmonies. And very often a third, which is a lesser influence. But what happens is that secondary color harmony influences the entire palette. So somebody who is very, very striking contrast, what, you know, the winter coloring, has very much cool coloring. But if they have, say, for example, 25% of an influence from earthy rich, you know, from a fall pattern, then that's going to slightly warm up their entire palette. It's a fascinating study. It's so detailed. And yes, there are nuances. And this is why I called the book Shopping for the Real You, because I just love it when people embrace their individuality. Yes. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. You know, it's like there's feminine style, but you can interpret it to work for you. There's new colors, but you can work with them or not, or forget them. You know, whatever's in season this year may not be for you. Yes. And one of the things that I say to everybody and all my clients is, if one of your ideal colors comes into style, buy a ton of it, because you're not going to see it next year and you may not see it for 10 years.
Yes. And I think this is why it's so important for women to really educate themselves and empower themselves, like with like your book or your courses, or even just working with you for a period of time, because they're going to just drill that in. And just as an example, there's one woman, one of the talent who I work with frequently, they bring her in on different shows. And when she had lost 100 pounds, which is really amazing, she really looked great, but she had this, her hair was black. She basically dyed it black. And the way she was dressed just did not flatter. She's probably in her late 60s, early 70s, I would say.
Mhm.
And I said, look, I just need to, I've had a good relationship with her. I said, I need to tactfully bring up, you should probably work with a stylist. And then also lighten your hair, get a little bit lighter because it's going to soften your whole look, but you need somebody to work with you on your colors. And so she did here in Denver. And oh my God, like she now walks in, she's like, okay, these are our options. And this goes with, she has it drilled in. And I'm telling you, it has transformed how she presents herself, and she's selling her services, this is what she's doing. And I'm like, it's completely changed her.
Absolutely.
So just saying,
Absolutely.
if you do any customer service or anything to do with people, oh, it's just almost a must do.
One of my shortly, because when we get back to the style.
Yeah, I know, right? We get all off on this subject.
One of my favorite client stories, a client who was contacted by a man who she hadn't seen for 40 years.
Wow.
And he had never stopped loving her. She had put on some weight. She, was looking frumpy. And she said, he wants me to fly, because he had moved to a foreign country. He's now living in this country with her. But she said, he wants me to come visit. I haven't seen him. So we redid her whole wardrobe. And the next time I saw her, she was so gorgeous and glowing. It's transformative. It brings you into your best self.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on, because this is all what I'm all about as well. It's all about transformation and, inner, outer, like how you present yourself. I mean, it's so huge. And this is why I love doing makeup, because people sit down and you just completely transform how they feel about themselves, how they look in the mirror. I've had people cry, like I'm sure you have too, like I never thought I could look this good. So anyway, I love the transformative quality of both of our subjects. All right, so let's move on. So another style that is coming in, which I think is hilarious, is the platform shoes. So why don't you take it away on platform shoes? I'm 5'10", so platform shoes are always a little terrifying for me, because I'm like 6 feet tall. But anyway, that's another point. But let's talk about platform shoes. They can be very fun.
Okay, they are fun. In fact, there's a very big 70s wave coming back also in the fall, for better or for worse.
For better or for worse, yeah.
I have a pair of platform sandals that I keep in the kitchen because they make me tall enough to work.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
But platform shoes can be fun, and they give us some elevation. And they work with a lot of different things these days. You can wear them with a lot of the loose pants, or even the looser jeans. They don't work quite as well with some of the more feminine dresses that we're seeing, because they're a very sort of grounding, chunky, clunky look. But there's some fun things. And let's say you're wearing you could wear one of those pretty blouses and a pair of straight jeans, and then a fabulous pair of platform shoes.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things one of my other style mentors told me, that a French woman told her, she says, you Americans try to match your shoes to your pants. It's so boring. She said, make your shoes pop.
Oh, I love it.
So this woman has some fabulous, colorful, wonderful shoes. So let's say you're wearing a really pretty white, pretty blouse of some kind, soft or, ruffled or whatever, with a nice pair of jeans. And then if you wear, and they have to be, I'm trying to think about, the hemlines is a real difficult thing. We can't be very general here, but you could wear them with a pair of really pretty, colorful platform shoes. And there you've got a really fashion forward outfit that's really quite pretty. If you are under 5, well, if you're 5'10", go ahead and wear them. but I think, if you don't want to, I think they work well for anybody up to about 5'8". They're kind of fun. And you're going to see them in everything from sneakers to sandals, to heels, and loafers, lots of loafers. I have some platform loafers that I bought a year and a half ago, and I'm still wearing them.
Oh,
so yeah, they're kind of a fun thing that they literally elevate you.
Yes.
And they are a throwback a little bit, but you can, and there's some pretty ankle strap sort of platform heel types that would look nice with a dress.
Right. Awesome. Now, what about things like slingback slides, mules? I mean, those can all be platform, but not all of them are platform.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the mules and the slides are still popular. They're more casual.
Mhm.
I think I've said this last time, or I've said it before. And I tell a lot of my clients this. They drive me a little crazy because, as a former dancer, I'm very concerned about feet. And
Yes.
when you're wearing a slide or a mule, your toes are always going to cramp a little bit to keep that shoe on your foot.
Yeah.
So it's more for style than function. The flatter ones will stay on your foot. Well, I don't know about whatever. They may stay on your foot better or not, but they will work. Like I've seen some sort of, animal print of the mules, which are
Mhm.
kind of pretty to wear. And you could wear those with a plain dress, especially in the summertime. They'll work well with yeah, you can wear them with jeans and flats and with jeans and pants too. They are they're a continuing style. Um, there are some in platforms or at least a little bit of an elevated heel, but in general, they are more casual and they're for more casual environments.
Right.
So I guess that's all I could say about the mules and the slides.
Right. Cool. I mean, I love slides. I'm a big slide fan, especially during the summertime. And I think some of some of them are very pretty. But you're right about the
Really
whole
pretty.
toe thing, right? This with
Well,
the
there's
slide.
some really beautiful ones with like some have bows and some
Yeah.
have
I love the bows. Yes.
rhinestones. You'll see some with in pretty floral patterns that are beautiful. And there is something, they're kind of sexy actually, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Maybe because it's an open heel and you're showing a little bit more of your foot. And if they are comfortable, God bless you. I love
I
them.
know, right? It's all I'm big on comfort. So sometimes these trends don't just sort of go, whew, not doing it. But all right, let's move on to another trend, which I'm really a big fan of, is fringe. Some of those
Fringe.
fringe dresses and bags. Oh, so nice.
Yeah, this is a fun one. You usually think of fringe as sort of bohemian style, but really the way the many options that are being available in fringe can work for almost everybody. Now, and it's something I want to say something about the whole idea of moving toward this feminine thing. A suit and a button-down blouse is more classic and it's static.
Right.
Anything that has motion, like ruffles, but especially like fringe, and it catches your eye, it's high spirited, but it's also very feminine because it's motion. And
Right.
women are fluid, right? We're in general. So I think it's a very feminine style. Um, if you have a bag that has very, very long fringe on it, that immediately says a little bit more drama. So
Right.
if you're shorter, or if you don't have that much drama, you go for a shorter fringe in a purse. But like say for in a bag, for example, a shoulder bag, you could wear that with a pretty feminine dress. You could definitely wear it with one of these new blouses and a pair of jeans or slacks. Um, if you want to really make a knockout look, there are some dresses that have fringe hems.
I love it. That's awesome.
And they just, they make that swishing motion as you walk. It's really quite lovely. And then of course, the jackets. And again, we're coming kind of a throwback to the 70s,
Yeah.
The fringe jackets. And I just think they're pretty. They're a little bit softer than a moto jacket. I personally love moto jackets. I have a lot of sharp lines, and so I look good in those sharper looks. But the fringe jackets they're sort of like hard and soft at the same time.
Nice.
So I just think they're so pretty. What do you have something that's fringe that you still wear?
I have no fringe in my wardrobe. My whole wardrobe, I look like a 1940s 40s librarian. That's kind of my look with a twist because I like a little bit of playfulness in there. So it doesn't look boring, but fringe is not a part of part of that. So when I saw your fringe, I thought, oh my, like what you sent to me, I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. I would love to add just a fringe jacket or a skirt with some fringe on. Like that would just completely spice up my whole look that I have going on, you know? So I think it can be very attractive, very sexy, actually, depending on how you wear it.
I think so too. Can't you just imagine like um, a suede skirt
Yes.
with a fringe hem? It'd be so
Lovely. With even just a simple
beautiful.
t-shirt or something, like just, oh, it's
Yes, yes.
outstanding, right? And
And
then boom, you
slides.
got it, right?
Really, that would do
Yeah.
it. A t-shirt, a fringe hem skirt and some slides, and you'd be good to go.
Oh, it'd be so nice. Okay, so let's move into jackets because you mentioned
Okay.
jackets, and we were talking off camera. I have like 25 jackets. It's an issue, like so many. In fact, I'm dog sitting right now, and like I've got 4 jackets I brought because they have to go with each out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's psychotic. But anyway, bomber jackets are back, and now let's talk about, first of all, what classifies a bomber jacket as compared to the 50 million other types of jackets.
Right. Well, I just have to say that I agree with you. And before we came online, I want to repeat what I mentioned to you
Yeah.
privately, because you told me that you had so many jackets. One of my other style mentors, is a Southern Belle, told me once, you can never have too many jackets.
So
So,
funny. That relieved my guilt, that whole comment.
well, that gave me so much permission, and now I'm coming close to what you've got.
Yeah.
But the thing about a jacket is that they just complete an outfit. Or if you're feeling like you don't have time to pull things together and you're just wearing a t-shirt and jeans and you just grab one of your jackets, that creates the complete look. It's just a wonderful way to do it. And so bomber jackets, I actually love bomber jackets. I've only, believe it or not, a California native, I've only been to Hawaii once.
Oh, wow.
And I took my husband there for his 70th birthday. And what did I buy in Hawaii? A faux leather bomber jacket.
Nice. Nice.
Not a bathing suit, not a hat, but I wore that jacket almost every day for 4 years. And I have to get it fixed now. But a bomber jacket is, if it fits right, and they're showing them a little bit big, it's it's casual, but you can take a more, I wouldn't wear it with one of those fancy blouses because it will compete with the look. It has to be worn with something simple underneath,
Right.
either a turtleneck if it's in the winter and you're cold, or a t-shirt. But it's got more rounded shape to it than, say, a moto jacket. It's like I was talking about the angles before.
Yes.
And the moto jacket, I mean, the bomber jacket tends to have a little puffier sleeves, and you'll see them with a little puffier sleeves and a little puffier body shape.
Right.
There's that roundness again. That's motion. Motion is different than static, and that's another feminine quality. So we think bomber jacket, guys, the Air Force and something like this, but it can be very feminine, depending on the color and depending upon the textile. And they work well with jeans. They would be terrific with a long skirt and a simple top underneath them. Those are something that you could wear with platform
Right.
sneakers if you want to be very fashion forward. But with loafers, I can definitely see like a bomber jacket worn with pants, jeans, or a longer skirt and loafers. It'd be a terrific look.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. Now, what do you do? Say, for example, if you've got a wider girth to you and you put on, like, these bomber jackets are very round, so it's almost going to accentuate your roundness. So what would you do in that situation?
If you're wearing, I missed the
If your
first part.
body shape, your
Oh, your
body shape
body
is a
shape.
little rounder. Yeah.
Yeah. Not every style that comes out is for everyone, just like not every color that comes out is for everyone. If you tend to be bustier or larger on top, the younger girls don't care. They'll wear it anyway.
Right.
But it depends what proportion you want to look at. I always look at proportion as one of the main elements of making an outfit look nice. I mean, I don't know whatever other word to use. And so if you tend to be top heavy, the bomber jacket, you could do it, but make sure it's not short. Make sure it comes a little bit, toward your hip line,
Right.
so that it doesn't accentuate this part of your body.
Right.
It's it really could, but because it's round, and if you are round, that's the reflection that balances. It's like, I'm wearing something that I look like, but you just don't want to go supersized in it. I don't think a lot of these I mean, if you look at the runways, yes, you're going to see supersize of everything. But I think in general, for what you're going to find on the racks, you're not going to find the overly big bomber jackets. So even if you are a little top heavy, just make sure the bomber jacket is below your hip, below your waistline, close to the top of your hip. And that will take it'll make someone who is a little bit large not look quite as large if you want to go with this style. I think it would look kind of cute actually for somebody who has a lot of roundness.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it depends on your height, doesn't it? Like your height, your shoes, like there's ways that you can definitely make it work, it feels like.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you shared about that, because I know so many of us, as we get older, everything sort of gets, rounder and bigger. And I think some of the styles don't always cater to that, but you can work
That's
with it. And I think that's the message I just got from what you said.
Yeah, there's always some way to make it work if you just play with it a little bit.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Andrea. This has been wonderful. As always, I just love talking to you. I love how practical and clear you are about, wardrobing and what works and what doesn't work. I just really appreciate your insight and knowledge.
Oh, it's so much fun. I always enjoy doing this, and I'm glad to speak with your viewers.
Awesome. All right, ladies. Well, thank you for tuning into this. Please write your comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. We always respond. You are definitely, we want you to look fabulous. We want you to be empowered and take, just look your very best every single day. Thank you so much for watching today. And thank you so much, Andrea, for joining me.
Thank you.
All right, ladies. Ta-da. Thanks for watching.